What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Becoming Roy podcast. I'm your host, Roy, and today I've got a pretty big update on one of my goals. And this is an impromptu episode, but I feel a conviction to share it. So I was like, let me sit down and just get it out. But for anyone that's new here, welcome. I'm pretty hyped now because this is the 11th episode. And I've been hesitant to share it because I saw some statistic forever ago, but it was like most podcasts don't make it past episode 10. And so I'm happy to already be in whatever percentile that is in. And so this show exists for anyone new to help people discover who it is that they were made to be. And I do that by sharing the little bit that I know, sharing my experiences and the journey that I'm on to become who it is that I feel I'm made to be. I am on a quest to lose 100 pounds or get to 10% body fat, whatever comes first. At my heaviest, I was 330. I weighed myself today, I'm about 320, but I got down to 270, shot back up. It's a whole thing. I'm becoming, I'm learning. Okay. And then the last way that we help people discover or help people to discover and do who it is that they feel they were made to be is by bringing on guests and having conversations with people that are living an inspired life, that are doing the thing, whatever the thing is that they feel they were made to do, being the person they feel they were made to be. Now, I did have someone DM me recently that I posted to a private story about I need to have a guest on now that I've had over 10 episodes. And I had someone say, hey, you should have, they made a suggestion. And if that happens, it's going to be the dopest, coolest first guest ever. And I would be extremely honored and it'd be crazy. So stay tuned. I'm pretty hyped about that one. Anyways, this episode here is impromptu and I am trying to share my journey and my process and my progression of becoming who it is that I feel I'm made to be. And a couple episodes ago in the Guide to 2026, I kind of laid out just two goals that I'm going after. And it's to be healthy and to document it. And I personally am breaking health into 6 buckets in no particular order. It is health, physical health, mental health. It is spiritual health, it's financial health, it is relational health, and it was vocational health. Okay. I want to be good at my job. I want to be a better friend. I want to be better financially, more disciplined with what I have. I want to be more sure of what I believe in my faith and just be stronger as a Christian, whatever the hell that means. I want to be 100 pounds lighter, whatever. So that is health. And I'm sharing to share the process because right now I am 300 plus pounds and one day I won't be. And I want to see the progression because growth isn't linear. And I think it's really powerful to remember other states and to remember other parts along the journey. So that's one. Like I said, this show is impromptu. I wasn't really planning on sharing this, but I've had a few conversations and I've had a few experiences over the last couple weeks, couple months. It's kind of been a buildup. And I was like, oh, this is growth. This is me becoming, and I have to share. I felt a conviction to share what I'm going to share today. And it's in the arena of, it's in the bucket of my spiritual health. Okay. Now, for some context, I did a whole episode on why I doubt God, which really is just my faith journey and experience. You should check that show out if you want a more in-depth. But the condensed version is I pretty much grew up a Christian. My parents came to faith when I was 8 years old and pretty much was in church since then. Parents helped start a church. I was leading worship as young as, 12. And I think I preached my first sermon when I was like 11 maybe. And so speaking and leading and having Bible studies and prayer meetings, that was just kind of the normal. And that was me. Okay. That was my family. That's what we did. Now, fast forward to me being a little bit older, I didn't have great experiences. Pretty much as soon as I graduated high school, it felt like every church that I was a part of, just something was weird about it, or there was just some mistreatment and whatever. I don't want to get in depth because that's not the point. The point is I've had a pretty shitty experience when it comes to churches. And it was so bad that when I interviewed for my current job, which is at a church, ironically, I remember saying in the interview, I kind of hate the name Christian, kind of want nothing to do with anyone that says they're a Christian. And I hate churches, organized religion, don't really want to step foot in a church again. And that was almost 2 years ago, year and a half ago. I've been here. I've experienced a lot of healing, which is great, but that's a story for another time. The point is, I've had a really bad experience, and I was a bruised reed, if you will. I was hanging on by a thread. It's a miracle that I don't hate God. It's a miracle that I'm still a Christian, that I still subscribe to any of this BS. I did air quotes for anyone listening, quote unquote BS. And so that's where I was. And looking into 2026, I was like, man, I really want to know what I believe. You know, I say that I'm a Christian, but what does that mean? I've had these terrible experiences, but I'm not going to let go of what I believe because I know I've experienced God. But what does that mean? So I've been leaning in, okay? And I was kind of just taking an assessment of my life because remember, if you're trying to get somewhere, you don't just need the destination to get there, but your GPS also needs to know where you're at right now. You need where you're at and your end destination to get directions. So I was taking a little audit on my life and I was like, okay, all I do is go to work and the gym. Gym, work, home, apartment, don't leave, don't really hang out with friends. When I do hang out with friends, how vulnerable am I being? What are we talking about? Are we talking about God? Am I asking questions about God? I work for a church. Do I go to a church? Not a part of a small group. Just taking an assessment of things that I don't do. And I didn't do shit, but go to work and go to the gym. So like, all right, I need to start having some conversations. I need to start meeting some friends. And so started with one friend that I've already been friends with for a while. Kind of told him about, okay, I'm trying to do this thing of just, I don't know, loving God, trying to figure out what that means. So cool. That's a place we can have conversation. And then I met a new friend, super cool guy. Shout out Noah. And we would have some pretty intentional conversations, or just we would talk about God. And it wouldn't even be very deep, but we were talking about God. And I remember sitting in his apartment and I was like, dude, we got to find a small group. I need to find a small group because I need friends. I need community. Okay. And so then he and we hang out pretty frequently, once a week-ish, give or take, sometimes more, sometimes less. And so we've been looking for small groups since January. It is end of February now. And we've talked about it for maybe a little bit longer, but something always happened, right after Christmas. For some reason, all the groups were shut down, for the holidays, which is funny. If you are running a church, I feel like people want to lean in for like a New Year's resolution. So it's weird that these young adult groups didn't start for 3 weeks into January, but whatever. And so they weren't meeting for several weeks. And then there was always something coming up. He couldn't go, I couldn't go. We had to go together. So it got to the point where he couldn't go a couple weeks ago. And I was like, dude, I'm going to go. So I went to a group, and the first one that I went to, weird. It was there. They were in a transition point, but that's whatever. So I was like, all right, I'm glad I went. I didn't want to go. Then I go to another group. Noah still couldn't go. I still went. Okay. And I walked past the building. I wasn't going to go in. I get really anxious when I have to like meet a bunch of new people. I have like social anxiety in certain settings, which is ridiculous, and people don't believe me when I say that. Maybe I don't really mean it. Whatever. I literally walked past the front door and I was like, I should go back in there. So I walked past on the other side of the street, walked a block down, across the street, and then I came, and then I was about to walk past the door again, and I was like, nah, I'm going to do hard things. We're doing hard things this year. And so as soon as I thought that, I turned in, pushed the door open, boom, and I was there. Okay. Met another cool guy, and we've been connecting. We've played basketball a couple times. We've gone to the gym a couple times. It's great. The point is, I took an audit. I realized that I was alone, that I was isolating, that I wasn't having a conversation. Like, all right, I'm going to do something about this. Started doing something about it. And it's like one thing has led to another. I've been meeting new people, but that just kind of led to the next thing. I was like, all right, I should probably start reading my Bible. So I've been like reading my Bible first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And it's been like a draw. Like it's open on my desk in the morning, because I read it the night before. And I'm just like instantly drawn to go back. And it feels like it did when I first came to faith. Or those times in our lives when we were very engaged in scripture and really diving in. Like, it's weird. It's like the first time, man. I'm like, I'll just read a chapter, I'll read a page, and then it's been 40 minutes. And just like a switch to consuming that kind of content. I ordered a systematic theology book that's like this thick. If you're not looking, it's like, gosh, I don't know, maybe 8 inches thick. Dude, I was just reading that thing last night, or last couple of days, just going through like, what do I believe? Being sure of what I believe. And reading my Bible has turned into praying. I'm like praying, and I'm like listening to worship music. I do not listen to worship music ever. I'm at church, they play songs. I'm like, I've never heard the song. And then they're like, oh, it's like, I don't know, won some Dove Award or something. I'm like, what are the Dove Awards? Like, I know nothing. And it's just been weird. It's been like one thing after another. I'll also say another thing, just in this assessment. This kind of happened in November, December. I was like, oh man, I don't tithe. I've never tithed consistently. It's the beginning of the year. I was like, I'm going to tithe. Or in December, November, whenever it was, I was like, I'm going to start tithing. And I don't understand it. And I don't know, but like, I just want to say, God, I trust you. So I'm going to give you this money. And I could use that. I could use that money. I mean, who doesn't want a couple hundred extra bucks a month? It feels like an expensive subscription, if I'm being honest. But it's like, whatever, and that's a whole nother conversation if you want to talk about generosity, tithing. I won't say where I work, but being here and being close, I feel very good about where the money's going. They just do a lot of good. And whatever, that's a whole nother conversation. The point being is I took this audit of my life and I said, I'm not tithing. I'm not going to a small group. I don't have any community. I'm not reading my Bible. I'm not praying. I'm not fill in the blank. I'm not doing anything. And I feel like shit. And I'm wondering why. And over the last few weeks, it's like one thing starts and then the next thing starts. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I sent a text to some friends. I was like, guys, I'm going to find myself in another ministry job. I know it. And I don't want to be in a ministry job. I don't want to be a pastor. And I'm not saying I'm going to be a pastor, but it's like, I don't want to do this. I just want to like be a cool guy. And people are like, oh, like, yeah, Roy's inspiring and he's generous. But like, as I'm reading the Bible, I'm like, shit, dude, we need to get back to like making disciples. And that's like a really weird term to say in 2026, but it's like, you just need to care for somebody and like learn what it means to be a Christian with somebody. You just got to do these things that God says if you say you're a Christian. And it's like, it's gripping me. Having conversation is gripping me. We see this throughout the gospel, but specifically with the woman at the well, after their dialogue, after that conversation, she goes back into the town, and the scripture says that All the town came out to see him because of the things that she had said. She didn't go home. She wasn't quiet. She used her words. I've just been feeling this conviction to use my words. Like if you really believe that you're a Christian and you really believe that like God is hope and we have this living hope inside of us, then we can use our words to spread hope. This weekend at church, there was just a couple people that I just noticed something about. And I was like, I'm going to use my words. I'm going to say something to them. And I said, hey, blank, 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 blank. And I said something that I just thought. And they were like, wow, that's really encouraged. Even today, 5-6 days later, someone came up to me and said, hey, so-and-so told me about the thing you said. And I'm not telling you for some sort of praise. The point is, we have hope inside of us. If we call ourselves a Christian, we have a hope inside of us that people need. And it doesn't matter where you work. It doesn't matter what you do. We have to, gosh, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, man. Like, we have to be we have to be doing things. And I don't want to hear anyone say like, oh, like, it's not works based. Shut the hell up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting into any theology right now. I'm just saying if you're a Christian, bare minimum, there are things you need to do. And I've actually been watching a podcast. It's called the Beautiful Church Podcast with a good friend, Zach Kensley. Well, we're not really good friends, but I feel like we're good friends. Zach Kensley is like has been a mentor from afar for 10, 15 years for me. I don't know how much I've expressed exactly to Zach about the impact he's had to me, but I've been listening to him have these conversations. And he actually had this guy on a couple days ago, and I took some notes because there are 5 things they're talking about that we need to be doing or get back to. And the 5 things are scripture, no particular order. We need to get to scripture, back to scripture. We need to be worshiping. We need to have community. We need to be engaged in generosity, and we need to be serving. These 5 things. And I listened to that podcast today and yesterday, kind of in 2 different settings. And I was like, oh my gosh, like for me, I started giving. I started being more generous with my money a couple months ago in an intentional way to the church. So I tried to be generous to my friends and to strangers, but intentionally with the church. And then I was seeking community. Okay. I already work for a church, and I try to do, above and beyond my job when opportunities come. So I feel like I'm already kind of serving. But it was like one thing, generosity, then community. Then I've been reading the Bible more. I've been listening to worship music, and it's like all coming back to discipleship. And I don't really know like what is the point of all of this. The point of all this is a couple years ago, I wanted nothing to do with church. I wanted nothing to do with anything that is associated with an organized institution of religion. I still kind of cringe at some of the verbiage or some of the ideas. But if you believe, if you don't know what exactly you believe, but if you believe in Jesus, I don't really exactly know what the hell this shit looks like. Sorry, I should probably stop cussing. It says it in Colossians, like no something speech, but whatever. This is the point. Is this show exists to help people discover who it is that they were made to be. And I do that by sharing my journey and sharing my experiences. And this is something that I'm experiencing. It's something in my journey right now. It's something that I feel a sobriety about. I feel somber about this. And I don't know where it's going to lead, because I don't really want to continue on this journey, because I don't want it to be a theological statement, and I don't really want it to be a stance. I don't really want it to be anything that I once knew that it was. I just know that, gosh, it's a miracle that I'm here in many senses. It's a miracle that I don't hate God. And I'm feeling encouraged and bolstered in this moment. And I think maybe some of you need to start to do these things. I wish I paid more attention. Sorry to Doug Garasick. That's his name. And there's a book that I'm going to order and read. But the 5 things that they talked about was scripture, worship, community, generosity, and serving. If you are unsure of your faith, can you just pick one of these things and just see where it takes you? Because I started with generosity, not thinking that it would lead to me reading scripture more, not thinking it would lead me to worshiping more or to praying more or to trying to find people to do life with. And I don't know that it did, but that has just been the progression. So, man, if you want to have a conversation, let me know. I'd love to have coffee and just talk about God, what any of this means. But I hope that you, listener, can hold on to something. Do your due diligence. Because all we can do is control what we can. So that's it for my impromptu episode. Hopefully that wasn't too rambly because I didn't prepare. I tried to prepare some sort of stream of consciousness, but it is just a conviction, and I'm running out of time because I'm leaving for Chicago this weekend with a buddy to see a concert that I know nothing about. But that's all for the Becoming Roy podcast today. Stay tuned for some guests that are coming. It's going to be super dope. And you know what I say, man. Control what you can control. Make it a great day. And I'll see you on the next one.